Are you sick and tired of losing in Clash Royale? Well, if you are, then I understand your pain. For a long time, I was really bad at this game, just genuinely about the worst player ever. But now I am definitely much improved. It's not like I've done anything crazy, but I have hit the top rank, with that being Ultimate Champion. So in this video, I just want to go over 5 main things that I've learned over my time playing Clash Royale that have helped me a lot to improve my skill level. So let's go ahead and start. The first thing you gotta do to get better at this game is to learn from your mistakes. If you just keep going into games over and over again without trying anything different, then you're bound to keep losing if your current strategy isn't working. That honestly applies to anything in life. If something isn't working for you, then you gotta switch it up. And the best way that you can learn from your mistakes in Clash Royale is still within the game. You don't even have to do anything extra. And all you really have to do is go to the menu at the top right, click the battle log, and then look at your previous games. Replays are genuinely a phenomenal tool in this game that I feel like get underutilized. You can see your card cycle, you can see your opponent's card cycle, you can see both of your elixir bars, and you can fast forward through the game to find key moments of why you may have lost a particular game. And by going through your replays and studying your losses to see what you did wrong, you will improve over time if you make changes based on the mistakes that you made previously. It's kind of like how in school when you study and prepare for a test and you end up getting a bad grade, for the next test, you're probably going to change your approach to studying. It's the exact same thing with Clash Royale. When you play a game or you go on a losing streak and you don't know why, you then go watch your replays, and then from there you take what you learned and you apply it to your future games with the hopes of getting better. But before we move on to our next tip, have you ever wondered what it would be like to get Clash Royale tips from fictional characters? Well, with today's video sponsor Polybuzz, this is something that you can actually do. Polybuzz is an awesome app where you have the power to talk to literally any fictional character you want and talk to them about pretty much anything. You also have the power to be super creative and create your own AI chatbot and give them their own personality. So I have decided to make Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan just because why not? So let's ask him a question. Hey Eren, what is your best piece of Clash Royale strategy for me? Let's see what he has to say.
How are you only just starting to play Clash?
Why are you mocking me? Please just help me out, man. Okay, so he says, get yourself a dragon. All right, I'll take that as the baby dragon. A lot of legendary troops like the Golem and Hog Rider. Those aren't really legendary troops, but they are good cards. The best piece of advice he gave here was to use the Hog Rider because the Hog Rider is actually a good card. And stuff like that is just scratching the surface of what Polybuzz can do. The possibilities with this app are truly endless, and the only limit is your imagination. You can download Polybuzz on iOS, Google Play, or Chrome by using the link at the top of the description or the pinned comment. And if you use my promo code, then you can get some exclusive premium features as well. Thanks to Polybuzz for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. So the next reason why you probably lose a lot is because you keep playing when you are tilted. Basically, in a game when you're tilted, it means that you're in like a perpetual state of frustration from constant losing and things not going your way, and thus it kind of clouds your mental and emotional state and ultimately leads to you playing worse. And in Clash Royale, it can be incredibly easy to tilt. Trust me, I've been there. I think we've all been there, if I'm being honest. I mean, games in Clash Royale are so short, they're 5 minutes maximum, and because of that, in your mind, you just think, okay, just one more game and then I'll stop. And then you lose. And then, oh, it's just one more game. I just got to win one more game. And then you lose again. And then that cycle just repeats itself over and over. And the next thing you know, you're down 300 trophies and you don't know what the heck has happened over the past 30 minutes of your life. So if you ever find yourself in this situation in the near future, just promise me that you will take a break. If you catch yourself on a 2 or 3 game losing streak, you're getting agitated and frustrated, just close out of the app, go play another game, or even better, go outside, go hit the gym, go do homework, go do something productive, and then come back where you have a much clearer mental state and a much better outlook when playing the game. Trust me, I know the notion of just taking a break is a very simple concept, but I promise it actually does wonders for you. The next reason why you may be losing a lot in Clash Royale is because you don't pay attention to the meta enough. In Clash Royale, just like literally any other video game that has ever existed, there are certain strategies and certain cards that are more viable than others. And it is very important for you to know which of these strategies are viable so that way you can game plan around them or decide to use them. Even if there are certain cards that are really good that you can't use because you don't have them leveled up enough, you can still take a mental note of what those cards are, and you can then look at the deck that you do have and see how you can game plan around those cards. For example, here is my free-to-play Clash Royale account. I have not spent a single dollar on this account, and I've been playing it for about 2 years. And as a result, because I have not spent any money, there is really only one deck that I have that is leveled up to a decent degree. If you look at the rest of my cards, a lot are level 10, level 9. There's some level 8 rages in here. There's some level 1 goblin gangs and skeleton barrels. So there's not really that many options for me to have for a competitively viable deck. But what I can do is I can look at this deck and I can say, okay, what are its strengths and weaknesses relative to the cards that are the best in the meta? And then I can game plan around those cards using my own cards. One tool I really like to use a lot is called Royale API, and it is basically a website where you can go to where you can see the usage rates and win percentages of cards in the meta. You can also check out popular decks and what pro players are using, and this is a really great tool to just get a gauge of how the meta is and what cards people are using. Right now, I'm looking at it from more of a competitive standpoint because we are looking at grand challenges, which is kind of a good gauge for the competitive meta. And as you can see, the best card that isn't a tower troop or a spell is the Goblinstein, which is the newest champion. And then if we come here and change it to ladder, this will tell you usage rates and win percentages for just all of ladder. As you can see, we have a lot of Musketeer, Hog Rider, Mini Pack, a Goblin Barrel, Skeleton Army, Knight, cards like that. And so this is just a really great tool to help you gauge the meta, see what cards are good, and you can game plan with that. The fourth reason why you're probably losing in Clash Royale is because you play way too aggressive. Playing slow is the way to go. In this wonderful game known as Clash Royale, Elixir is a very precious resource. It is supplied in a finite amount, and you do not have an infinite amount of it. With that being the case, why are you spamming Hog Rider and Elite Barbarians at the bridge? Why is this something that people do? I don't get it. And you would be surprised how many people do things like this. Whether it's Hog Rider, Elite Barbarians, Lumberjack Balloon, Goblin Barrel, Princess Goblin Gang, Mega Knight, whatever, Mega Knight with literally anything. People do this a lot. Whenever they get 10 elixir, they just put all the cards at the bridge, and then their opponent may defend it, and then they defend it with less elixir, and then because you're in an elixir deficit, you just lose the game automatically. I know I ranted a lot right there, but the point is, don't just be super aggressive. You gotta play passive, play slowly. Actually, I don't know if playing passive is the right way to describe it, because there are situations where you can be aggressive and get away with it. If you defend your opponent's push with less elixir than what they invested into it, then you will have an elixir advantage, and therefore you will have some opportunities in that case to go aggressive with, say, a Hog Rider or minor wall breakers, something like that. It's all about just being aware of the situation that you're in. A good general rule of thumb that I always like to say though is to play reactively rather than proactively. When you go into a new game, you have no idea what cards your opponent has. Therefore, you don't know if they have cards in cycle that will counter your cards in cycle. So just wait a little bit, wait for the game to move forward and progress a little bit, and then once you know how he plays, once you know the cards in his deck, then you can play a little bit more proactively. It's just for a good initial rule of thumb, you should settle down and wait to see what your opponent has, play defensively, and then go from there. And then the last reason why you may be losing in Clash Royale is because your deck just might be bad. There is a correct way for building decks in this game, and building 4.8 elixir decks like this is not how you do it. You gotta make sure that your deck is well balanced. You need win conditions, you need spells, you need defensive cards, you need supporting cards, you need air defense cards, and there's some overlap within that as well. There are some cards that can serve multiple purposes, but you gotta build a balanced deck. A lot of people may cringe at my free-to-play deck because of how it looks, but overall, I think it is a very well-balanced deck in terms of what it provides. The main win condition in my deck is the Ram Rider. It is the card that I am relying on the majority of the time to do damage to enemy towers. I have 2 spells, a big spell with that being the Fireball, and a small spell with that being the Arrows. I have 3 cards that can target air units. I have the Firecracker, I have the Witch, and I have the Little Prince. Actually, the Ram Rider's Snare can also target air troops, so technically 4. The Witch also serves as an all-around good defensive card that can also be used as a supporting card for counter pushing, and that also really kind of applies to the Little Prince and the Firecracker as well. And then the Mega Knight in my Skeleton skeleton army are my two main defensive cards that I'm relying on for defense. These two are the primary defensive cards. The rest of these can act as secondary. And overall, I think it is a pretty balanced deck, and I've been able to have a lot of success with it. So if you build your Clash Royale deck with these same principles, you're going to have more success than you did before. So those are 5 reasons why you might be consistently losing in Clash Royale. Hopefully these tips were able to help you out, and I hope that if you implement them, you'll have a lot more success. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe if you're new, watch this video on the screen as well, and I will see you all in the next video.